How's it going, guys, and welcome back to ConstantlyVariedFitness. And in today's video, we're going to break down and pick apart the thruster. So in this video, we're going to have 3 different sections. The first one being we have 5 different mobility drills that we're going to cover to help improve the squat, the press, and the transition in between that movement to help make sure that the thruster feels good and you're not wasting any energy moving inefficiently with the movement. The second portion is we're going to go over some things you can work on immediately during your thrusters, like breathing, strategy to help make thrusters that much more efficient when you're doing them and not just waste a lot of energy doing sets that maybe are too high for you, maybe doing too low of a sets and things like that. And then the third one is we're going to break down every single portion of the lift, making sure that you're not wasting any energy, moving as efficiently as possible, and maximizing how much weight and how many reps you can do in your workout. Now, if you guys like these kind of tip and strategy videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button for plenty more of them. If you watch this video and like it, make sure you hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. And leave any comments or questions you guys might have down below. All right, now with these 5 stretches, these are stretches that I really like and I feel like make a big difference for a lot of people. But if you have any stretches that you personally like more or you think will be more beneficial for you, go ahead and do those stretches. Whichever one helps you is the best one. Now, the first one we're gonna tackle is our ankles. A lot of us have really tight ankles. It's hard for us to get a nice deep squat and drive those knees forward over our toes, and we end up just having a good morning type squat where our butt just shoots back and our chest comes forward. So ankle mobility is really key in having a really efficient squat. So I have a dumbbell here. You could also use a kettlebell. I prefer a kettlebell usually, but I don't have a kettlebell in my garage. So from here, I'm gonna get into kind of like a half lunge, tight, compact lunge here. I'm gonna place the dumbbell on top of my knee. I'm gonna drive my knee forward as much as I can while still keeping my foot planted to the floor and I'll let my heel come off. And then I'll come back, try to get a little further, come back. I'll probably do about 10 to 15 passes one side, then I'll switch to the other side. If this is after a workout, maybe you feel like your calves are just really tight from that workout, you can hold this position for about 2 to 4 minutes to really kind of loosen it up and make sure it's not too tight for the next day of activities that you have. After that, we're gonna tackle our hips. Now, this is my favorite hip stretch. I used to do it every single day when I first started doing CrossFit because I found it super beneficial, especially if you're someone that struggles to get below parallel in a squat. And all you need is a medium-sized band. You don't want a really thin one, you don't want a super thick one, just about inch width. It's like almost paper thin. It's not like a super heavy-duty band. What's gonna happen is you're gonna place it about knee level, so not too high, a couple feet off the floor. From here, you're gonna place, if I don't fall, you're gonna place your leg through, place the band underneath your butt cheek, get into a squat position, and then from here, you're going to squeeze your butt and pull your cage down and get a big stretch in your hips. This is gonna mostly attack your psoas, which is going up from your hips to your lumbar. A lot of people have low back pain and they think that it's their back that's the issue. Really tight hips. So this is a great stretch for a lot of my athletes. I have most of them do this stretch. I'll hold this stretch for about a minute. Then from here what I'll do is I'll grab the band, I'll push down, then I'll drive my hips towards the floor. I'll hold this stretch for a minute, and then I'll switch sides. You will notice a tremendous difference in your squat. Even if you feel like you have a decent squat now, do that stretch, your squat is gonna be low to the floor. After that, we're gonna target our adductors. Now, there's a lot of different adductor stretches for a lot of people. This one might not be too great for ladies, but for guys, I find this to be incredibly effective because a lot of guys are really tight in this area. So this one is just a simple straddle pose. So the wider you can get your feet, the better. You're gonna fall forward, try to pull yourself down towards the floor, see how far you can get. If you can do it in front of a post, you can use a post as leverage to pull you down. You can have a friend slightly push on the middle of your back, driving you forward. But essentially, you'll come down as low as you can, hold it here for about a minute or 2, and then you'll slowly come back up. This one you can do past as well as you want. You can kind of work your way down, hold for a few seconds, come back up if the stretch is too intense for you. I would hold the stretch for no more than a minute if you plan on doing it right before thrusters, but maybe 2-3 minutes after your workout. Next is hamstring. If you feel like you're someone that has a pretty significant butt wink and your lower back rounds in the bottom of a squat, do this stretch, it's very beneficial. And we're gonna do a half front split. So it's pretty popular in raw mod. You're gonna get into a lunge position, drive your front leg forward, you're gonna keep your spine long and then come forward as much as you can. Versus just collapsing, you don't get as much of a pull in your hamstrings and your low back. Keeping your spine nice and long and then leaning forward really pulls on your hamstring and you'll feel it a lot more, that's for sure. So try to keep your spine as long as you can. Don't just collapse into it. Get yourself a nice big hamstring stretch, about a minute each side before a workout, 2 to 3 minutes after your workout. Now lastly, we're gonna focus on our thoracic and lats. For your lats, I highly recommend foam rolling your lats. That's usually pretty painful for a lot of people. Like I foam roll a lot of my body parts, but I don't really feel a tremendous amount of pain, just gonna be a little bit of stiffness. But for 9 out of 10 athletes, when they foam roll their lats, they're cringing up pretty hard. So foam roll your lats, but then more so for your thoracic, we're gonna do what I call the sorry officer stretch. I normally do it standing, but for the purpose of the video and the camera's already set to a lower angle, I'm gonna do it kneeling. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna come up to a wall, you're gonna place your hands a little bit higher than your head. You're gonna drive your butt down and back and drive your head through. Get a big stretch to your shoulders, your upper back. Come back up, nice and slow. I like to either combine it with doing a couple of passes, going back and forth with it, or a nice big hold at the end, whichever one is better for you. But I highly recommend doing the passes because it's a little more dynamic and help you up a little bit more before your workouts to increase that mobility. So I'll do about 10 passes each time I come down, holding for 10 seconds. If you feel like you're someone that has a tight thoracic, you won't be able to get very down deep into that position. It might be like right here, then you're coming back up. Perfectly fine, 10 to 15 of them, about a 3-second pause at the bottom of each one. It should not be painful. If you feel any pain, do not go as deep into the stretch. So those are the stretches. Next, we're gonna kind of talk about different breathing and strategy techniques you can do immediately during your thruster workouts to make a big difference. So real quick before we start talking about the breathing and strategy techniques for the thruster, I first want to mention that if you feel like you're someone that's not very fast, not very explosive, that come the last 30 seconds of a workout can't flip that switch and go a little bit faster, and you feel like you're more just like someone that just paces the whole entire time at a slow, steady rate, interval work would be a great way for you to help you get better at movements that require a lot of time under tension, like a thruster, like high rep wall balls, like things like that where just you have to do a bunch of work and you have to be more efficient with how you move for a prolonged period of time. So if you feel like you're someone that's like that, I would highly recommend doing interval work, something like 30 seconds on, 2, 3, 4 minutes off, something like that, where you're giving a true 100% effort, allowing yourself to pretty much fully recover before you do it again. That's gonna help you be able to be more conditioned, work on your muscular endurance to do a lot of high rep thrusters, wall balls, pull-ups, things of that nature. Now, talking about breathing. So there's different types of thrusters. There is the light thruster, where you might have a lot of reps in it, like a Fran workout. There might be a heavy thruster, where it's 135, 155, even heavier, where it might be lower reps, and it takes a lot more strength and muscle to get the barbell done. So let's say you are doing Fran, where it starts off with 21 thrusters at 95 pounds. For a lot of us, that might not be that heavy. For some of us, it might be heavy, but regardless, when it comes to a higher rep like that, you need to be efficient, be able to focus on your breathing during the movement and not just hold your breath. Because a lot of times, especially when we go for like a strength portion, like a front squat, we've always been told, take a deep breath, go down your squat, come back up, and then breathe out. When you're doing 21 reps of a thruster pretty fast, you won't be getting as much oxygen as you can, because even though you're using more muscular strength for that short burst of the 21 reps, you still don't want to be holding your breath. That's going to shoot up your heart rate. It's going to make you harder to catch your breath in between your rests, and it's going to make the whole entire movement that much more tricky and taxing down the road. So making sure you are breathing during the movement to make a big difference. So learning how to brace by squeezing your core really tight, and then breathing while you're still coming down. So for example, however, whatever cadence of breath you have, but learning how to brace your core and then breathe at any portion of the lift to just keep oxygen coming through your body and keep putting oxygen in your blood, that's gonna help you be able to do a lot more reps versus just holding your breath and going where you're not getting in as much oxygen as you possibly could. Now, let's say you're doing a workout with that heavier bar where you need to brace that much harder, because if you lose any bit of tightness in your midline, you're gonna come forward and lose that barbell. If that's the case, then you wanna keep holding your breath on the way down, on the way up, that's when you'll breathe out. So anything, whatever you consider to be light for a thruster, practice breathing during the movement. That'll keep you more calm and more cool and allow you to use more energy through oxygen versus taxing your muscles as much. Whereas if you're going to do anything heavy, a 135 or heavier bar like that, whatever is heavy considered to you, hold your breath on the way down, take a big push up. Now, next, talking about time under tension. Whether you're doing the light bar, whether you're doing the heavy bar, we don't want to waste any energy holding on that bar if we don't have to. If we're doing thrusters and you pause in the front rack to catch your breath, you go, and then you do another set of thrusters, you just wasted all that energy holding on to that barbell, keeping your core braced, staying stacked the whole entire time, using the right musculature so you're not just falling down with the barbell, which is energy wasted that you could have just used or saved by just dropping that barbell. So when it comes to a lot of things like that, like handstand push-ups for example, I don't like my athletes to pause at the top of the movement and use that as a rest period. If you feel like you need to take a significant break, then come off of the wall, set the barbell down, shake it out, catch your breath. That way you're maximizing your rest as much as possible. Then as soon as you pick up that bar, boom, you're right back to doing thrusters. As soon as you feel tired again, set the bar down. Let's say you have 1 or 2 reps left. Okay, yeah, then it's fine to maybe hold overhead. I have 2 more. 1, okay, last 1. 2, boom, you're done with that set. But if you feel like you're on rep number 12 of 21 on the thrusters for Fran, set the bar down, shake it out if you need to. Don't waste a lot of energy holding onto that bar. Secondly, make sure you are not just rushing the movement sloppily and then getting yourself all over the place. You're walking forward, the bar is coming all side to side, because that's gonna waste a lot of energy as well, and you're gonna be not as efficient. It's gonna cause you to fall forward and use more of your core to kind of brace and not lose that bar forward. So one thing I like to tell people is slow is fast. If you have a nice smooth cadence with your thrusters and they look pretty and you're not falling all over yourself, you're gonna be saving a lot more energy versus if you're going gun-ho and you're all over the place, and you might also, let's say you're in a competition, you might be going too fast where you're not reaching full lockout and you come back down and you're gonna risk no reps, which is gonna waste more energy. So the whole point of this portion of the video is don't waste energy. Stay smooth, make sure you are breathing as much as you can, as often as you can. Don't waste any time holding onto that bar that you don't have to. Now, for the third portion of this video, we're gonna break down every single section of the thruster to make sure that we are maximizing the efficiency of the movement and not wasting, again, any energy. All right, now these are the days that I really wish I went and got a PVC pipe for the garage gym. I probably will this weekend, but I'm gonna use my girlfriend's 35-pound bar to demonstrate every single portion of the thruster. We're gonna break it all down step by step. Now, you can squat clean your first rep of a thruster, or you can power clean. We're gonna power clean just so we can start from the top of that squat and then work our way through. But feel free, if you are comfortable with it, squat clean your first rep. That'll save you a tiny bit of energy not fully standing up at the top of that rep. So, you've power cleaned that bar to your shoulders, and now it's in the front rack position. What I like to have athletes do here is have their elbows slightly down and try to keep a fuller grip on that barbell. So versus coming onto the fingertips and getting those elbows a little bit higher, you wanna have a much tighter grip as much as your mobility allows, and then pull those elbows down and in front. That way you have better leverage driving up when you're coming out of that squat. This will be dependent on how long your arms are. Make sure your elbows are not coming in contact with your knees when you're coming down into that squat. Now, going back to what I said a little bit ago in the video, smooth is fast. We don't want to bottom out on our squat, because if we end up coming forward, it's going to cause a lot more energy for our core to stabilize and make sure we're not falling forward on our face or losing that bar in front of us. So when I come down, I take a big breath, I control my core down, or I control the squat down, I drive my knees out, I make sure I control the bottom of my squat. As soon as I hit rock bottom, I drive up as fast as I can to the momentum going into that bar. I don't want to make it a squat and then a pressing exercise. I want to use as much of my squat as I can to get that bar overhead and save my shoulder, because your muscles in your leg are much bigger than muscles in your shoulders. Your shoulders are going to get tired a lot faster, no matter how much legs you use, so use as much as you can to preserve your shoulders for as long as possible. So I control my squat down, I explode out of that squat to get a big leg drive. As soon as that bar clears my forehead, I'm pushing my head through to lock it out. A lot of athletes will come here and push that bar in front of them. Not only is that taxing, oh my goodness, taxing your shoulders a lot more than it needs to. Again, if you're driving the bar out here, you're not punching your head through, you're gonna get no rep. So make sure every single time, as soon as that bar is clearing your forehead, you are pushing your head through the bar, keeping that bar stacked over your shoulders, saving energy. Going back to also, let's say you have 1 or 2 more reps left. If you can keep that bar as soon as, or you get that bar to that stacked position as soon as possible, saving a lot of energy, not just holding it here and wasting a lot of musculature to hold that barbell overhead. Now, we have that bar in that locked out overhead position. When you're coming down, what I see a lot of people do on their first time doing thrusters is they start to squat prematurely before that bar comes in contact with their shoulders. And what that does is that causes them to collapse at the bottom, their back will round, the bar comes forward, and they have an ugly squat to come up and then stand back up. So if anything, coming down, wait until that bar makes full contact with your shoulders. As soon as it touches your shoulders, like a trigger, boom, that's what's gonna initiate your next squat before you go into your next rep. So, even though we want to move quickly when we're doing thrusters, we don't want to waste a lot of time and attention. We want to make sure we're getting as much of the reps done as possible while saving as much energy as possible. Make sure you're moving smoothly to keep the movement nice and efficient. You should have a nice upright front squat, a big leg drive, and then a nice stacked overhead position. If the bar is coming around your head, if the bar is being held in front of you, if your squat is collapsed at the bottom, you're wasting so much more energy, you're much more likely for the chance of injury, which is a lose-lose, which we don't want at all. So keep that tip in mind whenever you are doing anything. Smooth is fast with 99% of the movements that we do in the gym. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, I highly recommend subscribing if you want more videos like this. We post a ton of videos going over technique, tips, movements, nutrition, mobility, things like that. If you have any questions on the thruster or any movements like it, make sure you leave them down below. If you would like any videos covered coming up in the next few weeks, make sure you leave them down below as well, and I'll make some videos for you guys. I love making these mobility videos and these technique tip videos for you guys because I want to make sure you guys are becoming better athletes. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe for plenty more, and we'll see you guys next time.